Greetings and welcome to day number 5 of the 30-day mental diet. We'll be discussing life is for you. I am Pastor Jeffries. I'm the pastor of the Philadelphia Church of Universal Brotherhood located at 530 Eastern Parkway in Brooklyn, right at the corner of Nostrand Avenue, right in the heart of Crown Heights. And I'm delighted you've taken time to be with us. We are interested in your feedback. Please leave a comment in the chat section and give us a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel and share the video with others. Click on the bell in the upper right hand section of the screen and it will notify you of updates and when the next broadcast is on. Now let's move right into the discussion. We're studying from the book The 30-Day Mental Diet by Willis Kennard. I have an old version here, but I hope you're able to pick it up. You'll really uh, be happy with it. It will really lift you up and feed into your life in a positive way. Uh, the let's read the introduction and we can get into it from there. There is one thing you can most certain hold on a second. Let me get this right. There's one thing you can be most certain of, and that is that law in some form or other guides and governs every aspect of your experience, just as it does everything in the universe. Fundamentally, the universe operates as a unity, not chaos. And the laws that establish and maintain this unity are not in conflict with one another. Creative action of infinite intelligence is explained in terms of law, and the operation of this law is of necessity in conformity with its nature, not contrary to it. So you can come to discover that it does not matter what your experience may be, whether you are concerned with your health or your success, your affairs or relationship, there is a law of mind at work. But the way it works in and through your experience, you determine. Things just don't happen haphazardly without any determining factor. There is always a cause and effect, an initial act of creativity, and the manifest results. Let's talk about this a little bit. We live in a world that is governed by law, and that's good. There's a law for everything, and when you abide in these laws, you're working in conformity with the law, and that's good, and you will have good results because you are obedient to the law. Life is law. We control our lives by obedience to the law. Life is about renewal. It's a renewal of our relationship with God and His universe on a daily basis. We renew our minds by our thoughts. We create with our words and we create with our thoughts. I keep reminding us of that because it's foundational and it's fundamental. Let's move on. When we work in harmony with the laws of the universe, we live safe and sound lives. When we obey the law of gravity, we live. But if we go and jump off the top of the Empire State Building, Law will still work, but we will die because law is not respective of persons. You cannot escape law. Now, with all of this in mind, we want to understand that life is for you. Live life, don't fight it. Get in step with the laws that govern, the universal laws that govern in our lives, and their laws, and then their laws. And if you get in step with the law, you'll be fine. Okay. You cannot escape law, whether you recognize it or not. Law functions in everything you are, everything you do, and everything you experience. There is no avoiding or escaping its action, but it must always be remembered that law is impersonal. It never is concerned about whether or not you recognize it, nor is it the least bit interested in how you use it. Law is no respecter of persons. It will work the same for everyone. If you get in step with it, it will work positively or favorably for you. Conversely, if you defy or break the law or go against the law, it will have an adverse effect on you. When I speak on law, I can hardly resist referring to universal laws, of which the most common may be that law of compensation. We operate in we operate in this consciously at times, but unconsciously at most times. This law of compensation, you can call it, or some people refer to it as whatever goes around comes around. Whatever you put out, you're going to get back. You put out good, the law of compensation brings good back into your life. But if you put out ugly and bad things, hey, that type of reaction is going to come back to you. The law of compensation is one of the most important and basic laws of life and has sometimes been described as the great law. The ancient enlightened ones called it the law of karma. The scientific minded may call it the law of cause and effect, or the law of action and reaction. Ralph Waldo Emerson called it the law of compensation. Matthew, in the good book, Matthew 22, verses 37 through 40, Jesus said unto them, Thou shalt love the Lord thy God with all thy heart, and with all thy soul, and with all thy mind. This is the first and great commandment, and the second is like unto it. Thou shalt love thy neighbor as thyself. On these two great commandments hang all the law and prophets. When Jesus talked about it, he explained it as the principle of sowing and reaping, giving and receiving, and doing others as you would have them do unto you. Emmett Fox, commenting on this teaching, said, If the average man understood for a single moment the meaning of these words and really believed them to be true, he would immediately revolutionize his whole life from top to bottom, turn his everyday conduct inside out, and he would be so changed that his closest friends would hardly know him. What does he mean? He means that if you understood this law of compensation, you sow what you reap. Whatever you put out, you get back. Sometimes we wonder why things are happening in our lives that we can't explain. If I had a friend that he used to say, if it wasn't for bad luck, I wouldn't have any luck at all. I'm down so low, I gotta look up to see my feet. Everything that could go wrong was going wrong in his life. What they call Murphy's Law. I told him you have to turn your thinking around and you have to look inside yourself and see what it is, what kind of thought patterns you're entertaining, and change them. You want good, you have to do good. You want friends, you have to be a friend. You want love, you have to give love. Whatever you want to come back to you, you first have to give. Let's move on. Life holds nothing. Life withholds nothing. It would be impossible for a universe that manifests through law and order to declare that one individual shall enjoy life and another not. Neither would it be possible for the creative intelligence in back and of all things to give an abundance of all things to one part of its creation and deprive another part. Bible says, for all things are yours. All are yours, and you are Christ's, and Christ is God's. That's First Corinthians 3:21 and 23. So it would appear that if in any respect life seems to be withholding something from you, it is not the result of the action of life itself, but the result of your relationship to life. All of life is available to you, but the question that arises is how much of it are you availing yourself of? The good thing about this is that it is never too late to begin improving your relationship with and to that infinite intelligence within you and around you. I recently received a great reminder of who I am in the form of a wristband. And a good friend of mine gave it to me. It says, I am the embodiment of infinite possibility. You can imagine how thrilled I was to receive it. I wear that truth every day. It's a reminder that all of life exists right where I am because all of life, that mighty intelligent, that Godhead exists in me. When I say the Godhead, I'm talking about Father, Son, and Holy Spirit. You see, the truth of the matter is that we have a spark of divinity in us. I have that spark of divinity in me, and I constantly remind myself that life and God is at work in me. I say things like, I thank the Lord for performing in my behalf. I expect him to work in my behalf because I create a relationship with him. And it's important for you to form a relationship with the one mind or that great intelligence that we are talking about in this 30-day mental diet. Life is for you and life is for me. Where you are is the focal point in the universe. Remember, day one, we recognize that God is in you. Day two, we were reminded that where you are is the focal point of the universe, because wherever you are, God is. This is the cosmic drama. We have a responsibility to be the best we can be, that you can be. You have a responsibility to be the best you can be. Life is law, and we control our lives by obedience to these laws. The universe does not have favorites. You have to discover for yourself the nature of spiritual law, which governs your experiences in living, and then properly apply it. What do I mean by that? We have learned through our studies that we, this thing that I'm talking about, when I say we, I'm talking about a spirit being. You see, I have a body and you have a body. You live in a body and you have a soul, and you are a spirit. You're a spirit being. That spark of divinity, that spark of the in infinite mind is who you are, because he made you in his likeness and in his image. You have to understand the greatness that you have in you because of who you are. Yes, you own a body and you have a soul. The trick and the secret, I should say, of bringing life together to work in its fullness for you is to bring your soul and your body under the auspices, or under the control of your spirit being, your spirit man. You have an inner man, and that's your spirit man, or inner woman, that's your spirit woman. And you have to understand that is who you are. And you operate from that spark of divinity, that inlet to the mind of God. Remember, we said we are like inlets moving towards the ocean. All rivers move towards the ocean, going back to the mother body, the great body. Well, that great I am is, we are tributaries to that great I am. I don't want to go into to get too deep into that, but that's truth. And if you understand it, you're going to really thrive, and you'll do great things because you understand who you are and whose you are. Okay, the universe does not have favorite. You have to discover this for yourself, as I said before. Let life help you. In other words, when you properly understand this, you will find that life is for you. Then you can avail yourself of all its good in your life. You use the law for your benefit. It is futile to battle against its action. You direct its action in the manner you desire. Your ability to direct this action resides in the nature of the God given creative power of your own thought. I want you to get this. So I want to slow down right about here. Your ability to direct this action, this law, you get in step with it. You get it to work for you, and that resides in the nature of your God-given creative power of your own thought. In other words, you have the power of choice. You can use your thoughts to be in step with the law, or you can use your thoughts to fight against the law. You have the power to choose. Uh, you see, that spark of divine nature that's in you, that inlet to the mind of God. Your mind You do the thinking of your mind. You, that your inner man, your inner woman, you have the ability to rule and reign, okay? And you make the decision. When you stop battling life, stop feeling that everything is against you, and become aware of the fact that the only thing against you is your own thinking, then you start to cooperate with the great law of the universe. They're universal laws, and you start to cooperate with the law. You get in step with the law. And through a change in your pattern of thinking, you will be able to make your life a joyous adventure in which you will encounter only good things. That's a great way to live, wouldn't you say? Now, regardless of how much misdirection you may have given the law in the past, it is never too late to start to use it in a new and better way. It's better late than never. It is never too late to turn around to make a change, because when you turn around and make a change, you're doing it for your good, and life will change, and your responses that you're getting will change because you change your thought patterns, and you realize that life is for you, and you won't fight it. You don't fight it anymore. The law knows only to act, to respond to your thought. That's it's impersonal. The law will only react or act or respond to your thought. Your every thought is the start of a new causative action, which will become manifest in your experience. And the wonderful thing is that this new action can transform and transcend any present undesirable condition in your life. Whatever you don't like in your life right now, when you decide to change your thought pattern, when you decide to uh, get in step with the law and live life on the right side of things by your choices, then all the undesirable things in your life will just seem to disappear. And that's a good thing. I know, because I have done this, and I really live by this stuff, and I'm a testimony to it. Now, the mental stimulus in this lesson are pretty good. I want to go to the philosophy. Arnold J. Toynbee said this: man is confronted with something spiritually greater than himself, which, in contrast to human nature and to all other phenomena, is absolute reality. Think about that. Man's goal is to seek communion with the presence behind the phenomena, and to seek it with the aim of bringing himself into harmony with the absolute reality. That absolute reality is capitalized. He's talking about the infinite mind. He's talking about God. He's talking about the omniscient mind that rules and created the universe, that mind that is the universe, okay? In religion, it refers us to Genesis 1:31. And there it says, and God saw everything he had made, and behold, it was very good. And he made you, and you are very good. So I want you to understand that. I want you to take that in, think about it, because it's true. And the thing is, I want you to do is let's go to the diet now. I want you to read the diet, and I want you to remember and ingest, take it in, let it uh, penetrate, and let it ruminate in your mind, because we're talking in terms of decrees, which you are calling, you're creating with your words and calling them into being. And we're talking about affirmations. These are, you're turning your thinking around and turning the way your thought patterns are working for you. So these diets are very fundamental. They're written in the first person just so you can think of yourself and speak of yourself when you read it. Okay, I want to read it for you. Let's read it together. Life is for you. What we send out always comes back to us. Life is for me, and always, now, for now and always. Life is for me now and always. It created me for itself. The creative activity of the universe is for me, as I now come to realize that there is nothing against me except my own ignorance or misunderstanding of the nature of reality. I cease trying to change God, to revise the law of the universe. I stop battling life conditions and situations. I no longer attempt to change ultimate reality and the way it works. With definiteness and consistency, I ever seek to cooperate with the great law of life and to align myself with it. Let's think about that. With definiteness and consistency, I ever seek to cooperate with the great law of life and to align myself, get in step with it, follow it, think about it, meditate on it, ruminate on it, and align myself with that great omniscient mind. There is no God, devil, or evil that desires my downfall. I know that when things are other than they should be, they could have occurred only through my misuse and misdirection of the law of mind. Life does not limit itself. I cease limiting myself. I'm going to read that again because that's pretty powerful. Life does not limit itself. I cease limiting myself. I am no longer my own worst enemy, for I now let my thoughts rest clearly and definitely on the fact that God is good and that my life is filled only with good as I mentally accept it in my experience. All limitations and barriers are removed as I now avail myself of the infinite creative power of mind, the creative power of my thoughts to make my experience in life all that I desire them to be. Now, I just want you to think about that and let that sink in. Let that sink in. All limitations and barriers are removed from your life. Have that mindset and work on that. Expect things to clear up and expect things to get better for you because of your pattern of thinking. This is how it works. This is where the power lies. Let's read the capsule supplement. I now release all ideas and concepts that are detrimental to my good and replace them with beneficial ones, through which the action of the law of mind creates anew for me a life that is more worth living. What I think is first cause in my life. What I send out always comes back to me. Remember that. I'm signing off now. I hope to see you. I'm going to be looking for you tomorrow at same time, same place. In the meantime, think about these, meditate on on the lesson. Try to read it twice a day, once in the morning, once in the evening. You want to contact us, you can contact us at pcubbrooklyn@gmail.com. Again, pcubbrooklyn@gmail.com. See you tomorrow, same time, same place. Until then, keep your head up and remember the best is yet to come. God bless.